Hi there, it's me, it's Mike, and it must be 2025 already because thanks to Toy Snowman, my friend Amir in Canada on the other side of the continent, he got me the first wave of next year's Black Series figures, which means that for my end of the year top videos, these will count. And if you're curious what that is, that's 5 figures here. We've got Dagan Gera from the game Jedi Survivor. We've got Jedi Master Vernestra Rwoh. We've got the adorably cute Bazil Jedi Order tracker. He tracked Jedi orders. We've got the brand new Princess Leia Organa from A New Hope. And then we've got the even more brand new, or same brand new, Luke Skywalker. One that people have been clamoring for a while. I was absolutely surprised when he sent me the message saying, hey, I got these in, do you want them? I could not say yes fast enough. And each second that ticked between his response and mine felt like an eternity because I needed them, and I needed them now. I'm very excited for this wave. I think they all look good. And I went back and forth to try to decide, do I want to do them individually like I used to do, each figure separately? But I think I've really been enjoying just doing them all as a clump. And I feel like a lot of people like to just turn a video on and let it play in the background. I know I do. That's my preferred way of consuming content on YouTube now. That's what I like. And I've always just made videos that I like. Anyways, that's it. I don't want to go over the individual figures here because I'll go over them there in the booth. So let's check them out. Okay, so starting off, we have Dagan Gera, Jedi Knight, I guess. Former Jedi Knight Dagan Gera. He was essentially the, spoiler alert, I suppose, the sort of the ultimate bad guy of the second Star Wars Jedi game, the Jedi Survivor. He is a one-armed knight from the High Republic era. So this is, you know, one of a few different High Republic era Jedi Knights that we've gotten this year, which is awesome. However, this one does turn to the dark side. You can see it start in the flashbacks, but as soon as you rescue him from his bacta tank, he basically just immediately you see him turn evil. He bleeds his lightsaber crystal, and like he's just not a good guy. At no point do you think in the game that he is a good guy. Anyways, this is, you know, of course, it's the new box, and I believe this is the first gaming greats we've gotten in the new box style. Not GameStop exclusive, and a lot of them haven't been GameStop exclusive for a while, but still very cool. On the side, we have his little mural art. On the back, it says, former Jedi Knight Dagan Gera emerged from a bacta tank imprisoned, motivated by betrayal, blaming the Jedi Order for the destruction that befell his greatest discovery, the hidden planet Tanalorr, which was basically the plot of the second game. I like the story in the first game better, but I like the scope in the second game, and there were a lot of great quality of life updates and whatnot. This is number 27 in the Gaming Greats line. This one specifically is from Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And that's it. So I don't want to spend too much time on them. We have a lot to get through. Let's go ahead and get them out of the box. Okay. According to Wikipedia, he's an Arcanian offshoot, and he's like genetically engineered, I guess. But he does have kind of a blue skin. It's a little bit different of a shade of blue from Thrawn's. Here he is with the newer Thrawn that just came out. So definitely like a lighter shade, not the same kind of thing. And if you're wondering where my review of this is, I did it on a live stream because I hadn't opened any of these these figures up yet, and I knew these were on the way, so I had to get them done real fast. So go check out my lives if you want to see that. Anyways, this is Dagan Gera. Like I said, he's got the blue skin. He has really, really nice attention to detail here. His neck has these lines on it, which is really neat. The face, really well sculpted. The paint makes it look really, really nice. I love the hair. We have like this long, drawn back hair with kind of a little braid, a little ponytail going into it with a little hint of gold paint there on the little braid part. The hair is sculpted super nicely. We got these little wispies coming out on the front, which I really, really like. The eyes are great. I love all of this. And then moving down to his robe, this is an overlay, of course. That's how they've been doing it recently. We have a nice big rubber overlay that's got a lot of paint on here. I'm pretty sure this is painted and this is painted. It's a very nice shiny gold, which looks really nice. This isn't painted underneath. I do want to bring attention. He has, since he does only have one arm, obviously, his other arm sleeve is still there. It's just kind of drawn up under the robe, which is pretty cool. He has a hood sculpted onto the robe that we cannot do anything with. It's molded, so Landspeeder Luke will love this. But unfortunately, people that like soft goods and putting hoods up and down, not so much. But moving down his one arm, it's pretty normal. It's sculpted with like cloth in mind. And then he does have this sort of gauntlet. It's not as ornate as what we got in the Acolyte. Now, the Acolyte does take place towards the end of the High Republic, whereas I think Dagan's more of like the height of the High Republic, maybe even towards the beginning of the High Republic. That explains why the robes are still different. This is more like what we see from the High Republic novels versus what we got in the Acolyte, like I said, which is the end of the High Republic. Underneath that, it's still the same painting and molding, which is nice. Like there's no skimping on the back, which is unusual for Hasbro. He does have a nicely sculpted belt with some little ornate designs here that are all painted. The buckle, this little cabling or braid, these little rivets are all painted. He's got a nice little pouch here. He does have pretty plain pants, but that's pretty normal for a Jedi. A little seam running down here. The boots are really nice. There's no paint on them that I can tell, but there is a lot of molded details that stand out here. I do wish maybe these little buckles could have had some paint on there, but other than that, I think it's fine. Like, it looks good. And that's pretty much it for the sculpting and painting. There's a lot on here. Obviously, most of it went to his little chest area, but I really do think the rest of it looks super, super good. I do want to go into his articulation, since we've never really had anything like this before. This is a newly constructed figure. He does have sort of the newer ball joint head, where it's got the ball joint at the top and at the base of the neck. He does have the butterfly joint, but the rubber, like a lot of figures, the rubber overlay does stop it from moving very much, but it is there. He has a deep single cut elbow, so it's got a pretty good angle right there, a little 90-degree angle. And then his one hand, he's got up and down movement on the wrist, as well as a swivel. And that's it, because he doesn't have another arm. He does have a waist cut, and it's normal. The legs come up front like that. They come back like that. So we got a pretty good spread on there. There is no thigh cut. He does have a very deep bend at the knee for a single cut. And that's because they have this longer cut knee joint, but then also it comes up in the back. So we have a nice swivel up there, but then it gives it, I mean, I guess it's still kind of 90 degrees, but I feel like it's pretty good, or it could have been worse. There isn't any kind of swivel here. We do have the normal rocker at the ankle, as well as the pivot. With that being Dagan Gera's widest stance with both his feet flat on the ground. So what does Dagan come with? Well, he comes with 2 lightsabers. Now, I am a little bit embarrassed. This lightsaber blade came out when I was pulling it out of the package, and I kept trying to put it in like that, And I was gonna have this whole big thing where like, oh man, Hasbro's slipping. This isn't fitting in. How could they do this to me? And that's because I had it going in the wrong way. So I was an idiot for whatever reason. But he does come with two separate lightsabers. They are ornate. There's a lot of great design work and filigree in here. I love this High Republic design with these little sort of pommels. Is that pommels like cross guards coming up? They're little tiny ones. They're useless little. They're like vestigial cross guards is what they are because they're pretty useless, but they're there. But I do love the gold. I wish the silver were more of a lustrous silver, and then we have black on the handles. Someone on my Instagram account says, hey, I haven't played the game. Why does he have one arm but two lightsabers? And that's a great question. And that's because he has one lightsaber. And that's how it is most of the game. I honestly can't even remember if it does get cut in half in the game. It probably does during one of the phases of his fight, but he has a double-bladed lightsaber. That's his thing. The one complaint I have with a lot of these is he has absolutely no place to store the lightsaber on his person, which always, always, always bugs me. I can't stand it when they have no place to put the lightsaber. I don't know why they do that, but it happens a lot in the Black series, more than it should, I think. That's all it comes with, and I know it's a common thing to hear online, and I've even said it, when they announced it, or not when they announced it, but when they pipelined Dagan Gera, I said, I wonder if they'll give him like a force arm, because in the game, when you hit a certain phase of the fight, he grows a force arm to use, and you see that like visually represented. And I think it really could have been cool if they'd come up with like maybe a clip system for it. Honestly, it didn't even have to be a movable, posable arm. It could have just been something that they could just plug in there and just have him have it, so you could maybe put the lightsaber in the hand or something like that. I'm sure someone out there that does 3D printing might come up with something like that, like a third-party upgrade for it. That's really all the nitpicks I can think of him. He looks good. He's going to look really good on the shelf. I think, after messing around with him for a little bit, there's a couple of things I would nitpick about Dagan Gera. Number one, it's not impossible, but it really is hard to come up with like poses that look good one-armed lightsaber, especially with a double-bladed lightsaber. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it feels clumsy for sure, but still kind of neat. But I will say the biggest issue I had is with his hair and his hood. The hair and the hood get in the way of each other, which makes it really hard for you to turn his head and have him look up or straight, because the length of the hair, it hits the hood sculpted here and it makes him want to look down all the time. As soon as you kind of do that, you move it ahead, it's fine. And you can get poses that kind of look good, but it is a little on the weird side. It's going to take some time to really come up with some cool looking poses with the, I guess, the handicap, is really what it is, since he only has the one arm. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is a challenge for sure. And some people might love the challenge and some people might not. I haven't played with it very well, so my poses right here are, they're pretty basic, but this is an off-the-cuff kind of video. I do like it. I love the paint. I love the look. I think the play is just a little bit south of what I want, and I do wish he came with that force arm. So I'm gonna give this probably like a 3.25 out of 5, or if you want to do it out of 10, it's like a 6.5 out of 10 or so. It's not bad. I don't think that's a bad score. I know people think anything below like an 8 or like a 7 or 7.5 is bad. It could be better. and I do wish it were better. But I think there's a lot to love here, especially if you like the game. Okay, moving on, we have Jedi Master Vernestra Rwoh from Star Wars The Acolyte. This is our first addition to the initial wave of The Acolyte. Unfortunately, it came on the cusp of the news of getting canceled, which sucks. Also, I'm going to be honest, while I did like the show, she probably was one of my least favorite parts of it. But I still like having Jedi to fill out my Jedi ranks, so I didn't mind picking her up. But as a character, I wasn't the biggest fan. I also think that this probably isn't her best outfit from the show. But as you can see, we have her here. It is on the side. And then we have the little back blurb, which unlike the previous wave, this one has a little blurb on the character herself instead of the show in general. A high-ranking Jedi, Vernestra Rwoh, investigates the strange occurrences surrounding Osha, Anastasia, and Master Soul, concerned of what they might portend. Yeah, so that's it. Let's go ahead and get her out of the box. There we go. So here we have Vernestra out of her packaging, and I gotta say, I mean, she's fine, but she is a little on the boring side. I mean, she's mostly just in these white robes with this like kind of tannish brown soft goods robe to go over it. I do think on the face, they really got the actress's face right. This is Rebecca Henderson, who was in Russian Doll, which I really like the show of. She is married to showrunner Leslie Headland. So it's always a little sus when the spouse of like a showrunner shows up in the show. But I don't think she did a bad job. I just didn't really like the character. And I don't think that was the actress's fault here. I think she did it fine. But honestly, the sculpt on here, the paint on here is really, really good. The curves, the indents, the where the nose meets the mouth, everything there. She's got the exact expression that RBF from the show that she had. They really, really nailed that. So they did a good job. She's Mira Lukin, I believe, is the no, not Mira Lukin. That's the people that can't see. She's Miri Allen. That's what I meant. I don't know why I thought Mira Lukin, but it's the same species that like Luminara and Barriss Offee are. She has her tattoo on the top of her head, and it's pretty sharp. It's pretty well done. They did a good job of that. She is missing the tattoos on her hands. She has them on her box. You can see it right there, plain as day. But it's not there on the figure. That is kind of a little point against it. Moving down, I'm going to take her robe off here. I don't think the robe is very nice, but she does wear it all the time. And without it, honestly, it kind of looks like she's wearing something from like the 1800s with these like puffy sleeves. It's very like prairie core, I guess. But there is some sculpting on here. There's a lot of sculpting into the skirt, on the shirt, all of that stuff. There's some gold paint on here, but it's very, very minimal. The belt is fine. I do like the sculpting and the layering on the sleeve here, moving all the way down. Like all this is okay, but visually, I just don't think it's very interesting. And I think especially without the robe on, the robe really does sort of just give it kind of a more of a pop of color. If beige were a person, and that person had RBF, that would be this. That would be Vernestra here. But you know, all that's fine. But I do want to point out the legs, because the legs are reused. Everything else here is new, but the legs are reuse from Dark Rey here. They are the exact same legs. And you know what? That's fine. They're new constructed legs, and they work. They're these wraps that go all the way down. Here we have them in black. Here we have them in like this whitish, creamish color or whatever. And I don't think they really needed to use anything else. She didn't need whole new legs just to be hidden underneath this robe, this traffic cone of a robe. Thankfully, the robe does show her feet, so it doesn't go all the way down, unlike the one for Rey, which does make her a little bit more traffic coney. But honestly, these two, there's a lot of overlap here. It's in terms of like we have like a dark light version. Like this is like Glinda and the Wicked Witch kind of thing. There is some fun overlap though, and I feel like the face is pretty comparable. Anyways, I wish that she had a sculpted hood on here just like she does, and that just fell over. That's the detailing and paint on Vernestra. There's not a lot to write home about, but it is there. She does have some decent articulation. She does have the newer neck joints that go all the way around, the double jointed on the top and bottom. She does have a butterfly joint, which is actually better than the one that Dagan has. I feel like it's more meaningful. Like it goes all the way around. She does have a pretty good bend at the elbow, which is nice, as well as a swivel, of course. She does have a swivel as well as two vertical hinges on each wrist. This one she has like a trigger finger on here for some reason. I don't really know why she has a trigger finger. It's weird. She doesn't come with a gun. She doesn't ever use a blaster that I know of, but she's got it. She's got a decent torso bend here. She does have some okay leg movement, but it is hindered by the big rubber skirt here. Since she does have raised legs, they do have a swivel. They've got, a single bend as well as a swivel here. With that being, with this being her finest stance with her feet not touching the ground at all because of the skirt. I don't know why that cracks me up so much. So what does she come with? Well, she comes with her one accessory, and that is her lightsaber here. It's a fine lightsaber. I really do like the color, although it's a little bland. It does have a little pop of color here, this little gold band right there. I really do like this. It reminds me of just like one of those like like pixel sabers that you can get from like the Chinese websites where they're just kind of plain generic lightsabers. That's what this looks like to me. She does have a nice deep purple blade, which I do love, but the elephant in the room here is that Vernestra is known for having a light whip. That's her thing. And it wasn't even like a surprise in the show. Vernestra isn't from the Acolyte, although this is her in the Acolyte. Vernestra is from the High Republic. She's just old. She's like over 100 years old. She was a Jedi, like youngling Padawan in the High Republic novels. And she has a lightsaber whip there. Like that's been a thing. And it was a thing before even those comics. So there's a lot of people like, oh, we got lightsaber whips now. Like no, lightsaber whips have been a thing for a long ass time. Just because you didn't know about them doesn't mean that, they just made them up right now. But I do wish that they came with a lightsaber whip blade. It's ridiculous that Hasbro didn't include that. They could have given us both. Like this, because her lightsaber does just have a lightsaber function. Like that's a thing, but it also can be a whip. So it would have made sense had they given us like a sculpted whip. Like it didn't have to be flexible. It could have just been sculpted like the Indiana Jones whip, where it's just like shaped how it's shaped and plug it in. And like that would have been really cool. But instead we just have just this. So I'm hoping some third party place, 3D printer will give us a good option for if we want a light whip. Now, obviously she can hold it, but unlike Dagan, she does have a spot for her lightsaber. And this is probably how I will have her on my shelf. It's a little bit boring. It is what it is. I like it. And she will go well with the rest of my Acolyte Jedi. I really, really liked the Acolyte. It wasn't perfect. I had a lot of issues with it, but overall I enjoyed it, and I'm a little bummed, to be honest, that it's not getting a season 2. Hopefully, maybe one day they'll turn that around. Give it enough time, we can, or you know, continue the story in comic books or regular books. I'd like that because I do want to kind of know what comes next. But I'm a little bummed that we don't get more of it. It was really cool. There's some really cool scenes in the show, and overall, I thought it was pretty good. But you know, this might be as far as we get with the Jedi. No, we are going to get Kelnaka. Just kidding. You know, so we'll have that to look forward to, and then hopefully one day they'll give us Vernestra's Padawan, who was the stranger. Come here. So that would be really cool as well. Now that we have Vernestra, we definitely need her Padawan, 100%. Overall, I'm going to give her probably like a 3 out of 5, maybe even like a 2.75 out of 5. She's not perfect, you know. Her robes really do hinder a lot of poses. Her lightsaber doesn't have like the thing that it's known for. But there's a lot to like here. Like, her face looks good. It looks spot on. And if you do have an acolyte shelf, I feel like she is a must to complete it. But I think if you don't have an acolyte shelf, or you don't care about the acolyte, she's probably the easiest pass that you've ever passed on this side of Vice Admiral Holdo. Okay, and moving on, we have my favorite little guy, Bazil, Jedi Order Tracker. This is one of my favorite things in Star Wars, is when they have these goofy ass little characters. I love it. Star Wars is full of them, from the Ewok movies to, you know, you got Grogu, Yoda, like Jawas, R2. I love it when they have these little, just kind of fun characters that you don't really know anything about them. They're just there. They're just there, and you kind of just go with it. Here we have the box on the side. We have his little mural, Bazil Jedi Order, and we have interesting. Oh no, that's just, I thought there was a person up in here. But it's just like palm fronds. I thought that was a hand for a second, but no. On the back, we have his little bio. It says, a tenon tracker and ally of the Jedi Order, Bazil has a hypersensitive nose that can detect his quarry at a distance, and he is tenacious in his hunt. I'm good at reading. There's not a lot here, so let's go ahead and get him open. There we go. Okay, so here is our short king, Bazil. He looks spot on, but elephant in the room, he's real short. I'm just going to start off with a size comparison. Let's put him next to some other short kings here and see how he stacks up. Here is the new R5D4. So he's roughly about the same size, without any antenna, as the new mold of the astromech droid. So this is the new R5D4. And I just pulled him out because he was easier to get off my shelf than R2, but they're basically the same height. So that's how tall he is. Here he is next to Tika. I think the coolest Jawa they've done. So he's a little bit shorter than a Jawa. And then, of course, the ultimate short king here, we have Wicket, who is just the tiniest, cutest little bears. And they feel in the same vein. Like, this feels like it could be an Ugnaught or another Ewok, just in terms of what they've got. But these are all original parts. So that's actually kind of cool. They could have maybe found a way to reuse some things, but they didn't. They went the whole new sculpt route. So let's take a look here and see what he's got. First with his face. I do wish that he came with an alternate head or like an alternate face, just to get a different expression. Like, this is a good expression. The eyes are good. The fur is sculpted nicely. We got some good paint details in there, in the mouth, good shading and everything. His little hat, his little flight cap is adorable. There's a lot of great sculpt work and paint on here, a lot of details, and his little visor does move down, so you can do that if you prefer it. Moving down, On his chest, it's mostly unpainted, but there are some paint apps, like this little thing right here, the kind of grayish silver. We have this nice stripe going down. There's some molded detail work in there, and the fabrics and the folds, and the little band goes all the way around. There are some little paint blemishes here. On the belt itself, we do have the brown with the little gold for the buckle, which is nice. Some sculpted add-ons and whatnot that are part of it. His gloves are really nice. This little fur on the gloves. He looks like a little pilot, and I love it. Like, he just looks like an old-timey World War II pilot where they had to like bundle up because they're in a biplane and out in the elements. So it's kind of what he reminds me of. But then the shirt kind of reminds me of like an Ugnaught shirt, like from where it's like kind of like a work shirt. But then we go down to the pants with, some nice sculpt work and some paint in the knees, down to these little cute little furry boots, which I love the look of this guy so much. He's got so much personality, and he did in the show too. Like, I feel like he came out of nowhere and they just treated him like he'd always been there. And you're just like, oh, okay, Bazil, sure, why not? I know who. Like, I felt weird. Like, should I know who this is? Because they treated it like you should, but no, I guess not that I know of. I do love the sculpt on his hands. They're sculpted with not like a trigger finger, but with like the pointer out. So you get a lot of fun expressions with that. And take a look at his articulation. He just got a lot, but it is there. So his head is on a nice ball joint on the top. There's no secondary ball joint. It's just the top one, but that's okay. It does what it needs to do. His arm moves out. There is no butterfly joint, but that's, it's small, so I kind of get that. He does have a single joint on the elbow. It doesn't have a ton of bend, but it doesn't have a ton of arm. So that's understandable. I wish that they could have gotten his arms to be down at his side a little bit more naturally, but it is what it is there. His little wrists, I don't think they're on actually a hinge. No, they are right there. This one's hinged vertically. Okay. And then this one is hinged horizontally. So you got vertical, horizontal. He's got a decent little, it's nothing to write home about. It could be better. He does have some kind of kick forward and a little bit of kick back. It's a little hindered by his little skirt, but it's not so bad. I mean, you can get it so it looks like he's running, which is kind of nice. I might even be able to balance it. There we go. Like, that looks pretty nice. He's got a single joint bend at the knee. Definitely doesn't bend very far. But again, you don't have a lot on the upper or lower part of that joint to move. It's going to be hindered, but this especially so because of the sculpt and whatnot. So to me, it's understandable. I don't expect him to be like Spider-Man levels of articulated, but maybe it could be a little bit better. But I think it still has a lot of great personality into it. And I really do like that. Moving on, he has one accessory, and that is a little pip droid. We've seen this before with the one that came from OSHA, who I happen to have right here. And this should be the same because it is OSHA's pip, like story-wise. It absolutely is the same pip. And these are mostly the same. I think, I think I would be hard pressed if I switched these up to know which one came with which. In fact, I'm not entirely sure right now. I think this one has cleaner paint apps than this one does. But yeah, he does have, just like the other one, he does have this little kind of ball joint at the top that has a little bit of movement. I don't really want to play with it that much because it's just so small. The little neck piece right here is so thin. I don't want to break it. But you could put Pip in his hand, and that's it. Could he have come with more? Sure. I don't know what he could have come with, to be honest with you. I'd have to think about it for a while because he doesn't really have any good access. Like, he doesn't do much other than exist and kind of mess stuff up. In fact, I said this with Vernestra. I liked it, but it wasn't perfect. And I feel like Bazil's motivations in some scenes is one of those things where like I didn't really know what was happening. Like in the last episode, he crashes Soul's ship. Why? It never made sense like why he would purposely want to crash Soul's. He's on that ship. Why would he want to crash it? Like it seems very weirdly self-destructive and reckless, and that just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But that being said, I still love him. I still love him, and I would die for him. I'm gonna give him probably like a 3, maybe a 3 out of 5, maybe like a 3. I don't know. Maybe like it's tough. It's tough because this is one of those classic things that we've had in the Black Series so far, where you're paying the same exact amount of money as I paid for all these other guys. Like Vernestra costs the same as this guy, and you can't even see Vernestra all the way in there. Dagan, same kind of thing, and even he isn't a full figure, but these all cost the same amount of money. And Bazil's just this. He's just this little guy, and he's $25. So it always kind of sucks paying $25 for not a lot. Let's be frank, not a lot. It's a little bit Anakin-y. Anakin here, he's thicker than Anakin and he's a little taller, but he came with a backpack. He comes with a pip. This does have a lot more paint on him than little Annie does, but it's just it's tough paying that much. So it's hard. Like he would never get a full 5-point score for me. Just even though no matter how much I like him, it's tough with his size. It's tough that he only comes with a pip droid and stuff like that. So it makes me want to score him lower, but I really do like him, so I want to score him higher. So I'm somewhere in there. Like, can I justify like a 4? I don't know if I could justify a 4, but maybe like a high 3, like a 3.75 out of 5. If you, same thing with Vernestra, but maybe even a little bit more so than Vernestra, because while Vernestra has a specific look with the High Republic Jedi, this is just a little alien. And you could put those anywhere in your collection. It doesn't have to be on an Acolyte shelf. You could put this in with Jabba's palace. You could put this in with the cantina. You can just put this in any scene. It's just a fun little character. He's a fun little dude. And I like that. I love that about it. These are, like I said, these are some of my favorite characters. So I'm going to go with I think my highest score so far is a 3.75 out of 5. All right. And moving on to the penultimate figure in the wave, we have Princess Leia Organa. Organa? This is, I don't know how much of a new sculpt it is, but there's a lot of new sculpt in here. I will definitely be comparing this to the previous release, but you can see what she comes with here in the box. On the side, we have this nice little mural on the back. She is number 8, and we have a little blurb: daughter of Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker, sister of Luke Skywalker, and with a soft spot for scoundrels. Leia ranked among the galaxy's greatest heroes. And that's it. Let's go ahead and get her open. Okay, so here we have Princess Leia out of the box. And just right away, I want to just say how good she looks. Her face, the sculpt. If you just have her standing on your shelf, like she looks great. She looks way better than this. So just it's like it's not even a comparison. Like this looks like an action figure. This looks, I don't even know. But we'll get more into that later. I want to just talk about, this Princess Leia here as she is. I do think we have to start off with the face, and the face is very, very nice. This is a very good likeness for Carrie Fisher. The paint work is amazing. The shading, the sculpting, all of that looks great. The hair looks great. And unlike the archive version, which is what I just showed you, the archive version had the glossy finish. This is actually the 4th or 5th version of this Leia we've had. So it originally came out in 2016 as part of the Redbox wave, and it had a terrible face, like a face that just didn't even look like Carrie Fisher at all. Then it came out in 2017. They re-released it as part of the 40th anniversary of A New Hope, where they gave it a slightly tweaked face, like a new head sculpt. But that was before digital face printing. But it did have a better face. And then a couple years ago, the archive version came out, where again it's the same figure, but now they've given it a digital face print. But unfortunately, that was during their era where they were doing that the glossy finish on the figures, whereas this is a nice matte finish. This face looks so good. But all the figures were all the same, and they had issues where they just kind of look baggy in those clothes and nothing looks right. Whereas this is all sculpted plastic. There's not a lot going on, but this is what she wore in the movie, so it's hard to fault it. So a lot of paint work in the face, but moving down, it's all sculpted white plastic. The arms, the sleeves, the chest, this little hood piece, which we'll get into in a bit. Her belt does have some silver paint on it, which is nice. Going down to her skirt, which is split plastic. And ooh, you can see that. Those aren't new legs. Those are old legs. And we'll get into who's and what's and why's later. Moving down to the boots. So there's really not a lot going on. There's some nice sculpting in the boots and whatnot. There's not a lot going on in terms of just paint. But again, what else are they going to do? This is what she looked like. They're not going to paint it when it doesn't need paint. Like painting it white, like it's already white. Why? Like this looks fine. This looks good. She does have, her hands kind of go up in the sleeves up there. I do want to spend this time comparing it to what we got here. And again, this is just a whole piece of just soft goods, and it doesn't fit. It hangs weird. It's never looked right. I did a review on this when it came out. I don't even remember what I said about it. But if I liked it then, it's definitely changed now. It's not great. I'm so happy that they've given us something else to go on a shelf that's not this. But in terms of her legs, they did just straight up reuse her legs. But what they did was they painted her legs white, or they molded it in white plastic. The upper thighs look skinnier, and I can't tell whose they are, but the lower legs are definitely 100%, and the kneecaps are definitely 100% Carrie Fisher's. But I don't know whose these are. These are too skinny, and I've looked through all my old female bodies on their legs, and I can't tell whose they are. So they legitimately might have sculpted new pieces here. It's not the slave Leia. It's not this Leia, because you can see that there's a lot more thigh here. This is a lot skinnier, but I just can't see whose these are. They're not Rey's. They're not, I genuinely don't know. I don't know whose these would be. But there's no sculpting on it, so it's definitely someone who is either wearing tights or had a naked thigh. But yeah, just very interesting. I don't know whose legs they are. I've looked, I couldn't find it. But the lower legs are the same. Like these boots are the exact same. The upper part of the boots are the exact same because it's all the same sculpt work. And like I said, the knees are probably the same. But these upper thighs, no idea. I honestly, if you know, let me know, because I've looked through my figures and I just cannot figure it out. I'm going to lower her dress now so it's not weird. But it's one of those things, yes, she does have old legs, and weirdly enough, in the video or the pictures, the promo pictures, they photoshopped the pegs out. So it didn't look like she had the old legs. And so it's weird. The whole thing is baffling, and I don't know what's up. So let's talk about her articulation real quick. She does have a new construction on her head, butterfly joints on her shoulders, which is nice. She's got a decent cut. I would like it if it were a little bit deeper on the arm. The old one did have double jointed arms, and they could get pretty high up. So this one cannot, and that is a little bit of a bummer, but it's not a deal breaker for me. She's got a very slight twist and turn and back and forth at the at the waist. And then, of course, because of the skirt, she does have issues with moving her legs. You can kick it out if you want to, but then you have to keep in mind that the farther the legs go, the skirt doesn't stay the same, and since it's molded rubber, it will prop her up. So you have to worry about that as well when you're posing. But it is Leia. I'm not going to put her in a ton of ridiculous poses, but I will try to do some. So let's talk briefly about what she comes with. She comes with a couple things. First, she has her classic, it's interesting. Hold on. I don't know if that is a mistake or not, but like this has like a little notch in the blaster. Oh, this does too. Interesting. I never noticed that there's a little notch at the end of that blaster. I literally never noticed it. Weird. Okay. Well, I just learned something today. It's the exact same blaster. It's molded in black. There's no paint on it. Then she also does come with the E11 Stormtrooper blaster. Now, this is the same old one we got. It's not the newer one, but that's fine. So she comes with the two different blasters if you want to do that. And then, of course, she comes with a sculpted hood up version, which I desperately want to put on. I can't wait to try this. So that just pops off. This slides off. And what we probably want to do is put the head in there like so, and then push down. And there we go. And now we have a properly draped hood, molded rubber. And yeah, it looks really, really good. I do like it. It's like the end of Rogue One where she's like, hope. I do feel like it looks like her neck might be a little too long with it, but it's not that bad. I'm probably going to display her like this, at least for a while, just because, you know, we've never really had the option of doing this before, and it's going to look good on the shelf. You know, you can give her blaster. Unlike Mon Mothma, Leia's blasted. It's cool that she comes with the Stormtrooper blaster because she did use one briefly, but I'm glad she comes with like the original blaster that she uses at the beginning of the movie. I'm glad she comes with this one. This is Princess Leia's blaster. Like that's how it's always been to me. So I do like that. I do wish her elbow moved up a little bit more. That's an issue. She's not perfect. I don't know if I'm feeling too nitpicky or what, but I do wish that, I don't know. I don't know what I would change. Maybe like deeper elbow cuts, but I feel like they've got a decent cut here. Like you don't want it going too much further than that. So it would come down to where the cut meets the elbow here. You'd have to change this so when you bend it up, it could go up more because it's being stopped right there. Like it's good. Like this is fine. This is how she's gonna probably look on my shelf, something like that. I do wish maybe she came with some Death Star plans, and I also kind of want to know, can you get her into like a crouching position here? I mean, the feet go forward pretty good, but it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great, but you can sort of do this. You can sort of do it. I might be able to do it better if I looked at the image and tried to repeat it a little better. But you know, just because of the way this comes out, like this, it's not going to hang down properly like it should. If you heat it up or you put some blue tack in there, you can kind of keep this down to have it look a little bit more natural, but you can't. So it's going to stick out a little bit like that, which makes it look like she's just farting real good, like enough to just blow that dress back. It's also like her feet are off the ground. It's pretty stable, I have to say. Like she's not really touching the ground in the back there. Yeah, it's not ideal. Could it be better? Sure. But it's loads better than what we had. A couple little nitpicks here and there, but otherwise, I think that, you know, just based on the size and the medium, there's only so much they can really do at this level, you know, without getting crazy like SH Figure Arts and stuff. So I think it's good enough. I really do. I think it's good enough. But I don't think I think it's the best they could really do with this outfit, but it's not the best Princess Leia in the line by far. That probably goes to like Endor Leia or Hoth Leia or something like that. But it is a really good likeness. Like the likeness is really, really, really good. So good job there, Hasbro. Did I give it a score? Shoot. It's mostly those legs. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. Like it's like a 7 out of 10. That's what I'm gonna give it. All right, and then moving on to the last figure, we have the much awaited Luke Skywalker from A New Hope, the Tatooine Luke that we've wanted, because the original was not good. Just like the A New Hope Leia. Anyways, here we have the Luke side little mural there, and then the back. He is number 9, so he comes after Leia. I don't see any hints on this side of what could come next. There's a Leia's elbow, but I don't see anything there. It says Luke Skywalker was a Tatooine farm boy who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the greatest Jedi the galaxy has ever known. Let's go ahead and get him out, shall we? All right. And here we have Luke Skywalker out of the package. And I got it. I mean, he's all new. So unlike, Vernestra and Leia, who reuse legs, everything here is brand new. The head, the legs, the chest, the legs, I guess the arms too. I mean, everything is new. The legs. Right out of the package, there are a couple things that I noticed. First, his hair is too dark. I really do think this should be a light. I mean, I'm colorblind, but this should be lighter. This should be a lighter blonde. I think that this is too light. I do think in person, I don't know what's coming up on camera, the likeness looks good. I don't think it's perfect, but it's good. I give it it's passing. It's better than what it was on this body, but it's not the best likeness Hasbro's done on Mark Hamill. I know this gets said all the time, but Mark Hamill just has one of those, I don't want to say he's got a weird face, because he's got a perfectly normal face, but it's a face that a lot of people just have a hard time capturing in 3D. Like Hot Toys has had issues, Figure Arts, SH Figure Arts Bandai has had issues. Like it's not just Hasbro. Like a lot of people have had issues. Now, I do think it's a decent likeness, and I think if the hair were the proper color, it would be better. I also think some of the sculpt work really isn't there. Like some of this hair should whoosh out more. He had like a very 70s kind of like swooshy, like longish hair sides coming out. And this does not come out nearly far enough. That's just right out of the box. Like I noticed that the hair wasn't great, but the face is fine, and everything else is really, really good. So, moving down from there, we have the sculpted tunic. It is a separate piece. It's like sculpted on there. There's like a bare chest underneath there, and it's like an overlay, I guess. So it goes all the way around the side. There's no paint on it, but why would there be? The arms look good. There's some detailing on there. The hands, the belt. We have a lot of stuff on here. Some little knickknacks and accoutrement, a couple little paint apps, little hook for the lightsaber. Moving around back, we have some pouches. This pouch right here is actually removable because in some scenes he has it, in some scenes he doesn't. So they made it removable. So that's technically an accessory. He's got his little skirt piece because the tunic goes down below his waist. He's got brand new legs. Again, there's no paint on here, so there's very little paint on Luke, mostly on the belt. But that's okay, because I don't feel like there's anything that should be painted that's not painted. But he does have these boots, and the boots are these wraps, and they have a nice wash over them. So this looks really, really good, going down to his feet. All of this looks really, really nice. It's pretty basic, but again, that's what he wore in the movie. And I love that you can just get him with like a nice natural kind of stance, pose. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a look at his articulation. He does have the double ball jointed head at the base of the skull and the neck, so he's got a pretty good expression. He does have a butterfly joint here, as well as a pretty deep cut on the arm, but because it's so baggy, it doesn't give a great angle. It's pretty much just above 90 degrees, but not by much. He does have a vertical hinge on this wrist and also on this wrist, so both vertical hinges. He's got a good torso rotation. His legs, kick out. They are a little hindered by the skirt. He does have a single joint at the knee with a swivel, the same kind of construction we've had in a while. He does actually have a swivel at the boot, making it a separate piece. So there's that. That's nice. And of course, he does have a joint at the ankle as well as a pivot. With this being Luke's widest stance with both his feet flat on the ground. All in all, I think he looks pretty good, especially just standing there. Like he's got a good natural pose. So we looked at one of his accessories. Let's check out his other ones. I'm going to start with the boring one. We do have his binoculars here that he used to look for the Tusken Raiders. There's a lot of silver paintwork on them. There's a lot of sculpted detail. So one of the things I did want to go over with this is the back. There is a little square hole. And as I was doing this video, I originally commented that there's a square hole, but there was no obvious place to plug it in other than this hook on the front where the lightsaber goes. And I said that couldn't possibly be it. But as I was watching footage of A New Hope, Luke Skywalker, to get references and stuff like that, I noticed that this is exactly where he wears his binoculars at the beginning of the movie, is right up front, right where the lightsaber goes. So it does fit in. It's a pliable little piece. And if you kind of pull it down a little bit, it will fit right in. In the movie, it does go like the round eyepiece side up. So I guess you could just pull them straight up into his eyes. But yeah, so it works. It fits right in just like that if you want to. And it just pulls right off, although I'd be careful with it. I'm probably not going to display it like that because I am a little worried about this breaking and it being such a small hole. But that is its purpose. And then, of course, he does have the lightsaber, the Skywalker lightsaber, nice blue. This does seem to be a new version of it. I don't think all the ones we've seen before, they haven't had this shape coming off of it. This is more of a kind of like a squarish shape as opposed to like a circle like it usually is. There's a lot of great detail in paint. There's the silver paint as opposed to just colored plastic. There's gold here. There's black. It really does, I feel like they put the budget, since there wasn't a lot of paint on here, they put it on the lightsaber, which is interesting. Luke doesn't really use his lightsaber in A New Hope except for to ignite it to check it out. And then, of course, the little trainer ball. I'm probably going to be displaying this Luke with his lightsaber like so, because I tend to just do that with Luke because I feel like that's how he had it for most of the movie. And plus, if it falls off the shelf, it's not going to break. Another thing you might be wondering about this guy is, does it work with the helmet from the Skywalker Strikes set? And the answer is yes, absolutely. And that might be a reason for why his hair isn't like poofier than it was before, but it does absolutely work just fine. It looks good. So if you want to have him practicing against those remote droids, you can do that. It's a thing. Now, of course, we have to compare this to the original Luke. Now, this Luke is the Power of the Force 2 homage Luke. So it's got the digital face printing. And again, it's a couple times they've released this figure now. They released it in the mainline wave and the red and black boxes back in like 2017. And then again in the blister cards in 2017. I think they even tweaked his face a little bit there. At least I remember hearing that they did, but I never saw anything, so I never replaced it. this figure came out again with the land speeder, and it was pretty much the same figure. And then they came out with this, which is again with the digital face printing back in 2021, 2022 time frame, and the Power of the Force 2 homage packaging. So that's the one I've got here, and that's the one that's in my, like, I have the early bird Vader display, and that's the one that's in there. Of course, he has this toilet paper soft goods tunic, which just isn't good. As you can see, what I was talking about, his hair this is way more blonde. This is what Luke should look like. This is too brown right here. But I just really want to talk about the face. Like, look at this face. That's so ridiculous. This looks like William Zabka from Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. That's what that looks like. It does not look like Mark Hamill even a little bit. It's crazy how much it doesn't look like Mark Hamill. But also, like, look at the size difference in the head. The head is just so small. If I didn't know any better, I would think that this was a knockoff. It's so bad, and it's one of those things is everyone knew it was bad, but you didn't really have anything better, so you just kind of went with it. You want to have this Luke for your shelf. Like, you got to have this look. This is the classic Tatooine Luke Skywalker look. Like, it's synonymous. You know, now that I think about it, let's compare this to a couple other Mark Hamill likenesses and see what we think. I picked a couple off the shelf. Like, this is the Return of the Jedi one. And Mark does look different in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi because he did get into a car accident before filming Empire Strikes Back, I believe. He's going to look different, but this doesn't look much like Mark Hamill, in my opinion. I think some of the best likenesses are from Empire Strikes Back. I think this Dagobah Luke looks fantastic. I think that's probably one of the best. And I think the best, weirdly enough, I think the best is actually the snow speeder from Empire Strikes Back. I think this face looks so much like Mark Hamill. And it's weird because it's the one that doesn't have hair. But it looks really good. Like, it looks so much like Mark. It's probably the best likeness of Mark. He's really hard to just get his likeness properly. And it's not just Hasbro that has the issue. It's everyone. So one of the things I really wanted to know about this Luke was that could it replace other Lukes in my collection, being a vastly superior mold to the end. And one of the things I wanted to know was, could it fit in the land speeder? Does it look good with the land speeder? And the answer is 100% yes. It absolutely can and does look. I mean, first of all, look at this. This looks great by itself, but yeah, his little skirt does not hinder it. I did take off his little back pouch just to make it so he can sit, but he does fit right inside. Maybe a little high, but I think it's just fine. I think that works. And it looks so good. I mean, look at that. That looks so good. And then, of course, if you do have that other Luke Skywalker set, he comes with accessories that no other Luke Skywalker has come with. First, he has a poncho. So this does fit just fine if you want to give him the poncho, although it's big and doesn't hang properly. Like, it works. You could do it, no problem. And then most importantly, it does work with the hat. So you have a new, true, brand new, A New Hope Luke Skywalker from, cutscenes where he actually looked like this more often than not. So yeah, Luke, I mean, I think he's really good. I'm going to give him the highest score of all these. The biggest issue with him I have is his hair. The face, I think, is good enough. The clothes, the looks, all that stuff is fantastic. Do I wish he came with something else? Maybe. This is really good. I'm going to give it probably like a 4, maybe even a 4.25 out of 5. I really, really do like this. This is 100% what I wanted. I just wish the hair were a little lighter and a little wispier. I think that's really the only thing that's drawing this back. Otherwise, really, it's perfect. other than that. So it can't get a perfect score, but it's really good. It's easily my favorite from the wave. I think Hasbro did a really good job with this. So that's it for my very, very long, in-depth review of this wave. Again, thank you to Amir from Toy Snowman for getting this to me so fast. Again, these figures weren't even supposed to be out yet. I know you don't have control of that. And it also got to me really fast. And again, I know you don't really have any control over that because you're not the mail, but still, it's nice that I ordered it and you had it to be ordered and you sent it to me and I got it really fast. So all in all, great experience for me. If you want to check these out, there's a link down in my downstairs area where you can go check out Toy Snowman. I'm pretty sure he still has them in stock. And he's not paying me to say that. I bought these. All in all, I do like this wave a lot, but it's not perfect. It's probably maybe a little bit on the disappointing side, just based on the high expectations I had. But that's more on me, and really a lot of it is just little nitpicks. I think if I had to rate these, my least favorite is Vernestra. I think she's the most disappointing with just terms of like, I mean, frankly, she's a little bit boring looking, but not having that lightsaber whip really is an issue. Next, I think is going to be Bazil. He's just, it's the classic thing. It's the classic conundrum with Black Series. When you have smaller characters, it's hard to feel good paying full price for them. That being said, happy I have him. He looks good. Next is easily going to be Princess Leia. She's good. She's not perfect. And I don't know how they could have done her better in this outfit at this scale. We've got one that's soft goods, one that's sculpted plastic. They're gonna have their pros and their cons. I think if you want this look, this is a good look. This is a good option. This is easily the best version of the two we've had for sure. Next is going to be Dagan Gera. He looks fantastic. I love him. I love his outfit. I love everything about him. He's so good. He looks more substantial than the rest of these figures. Like he looks bigger, which, everyone's not shaped the same way. So that's normal. And I like that, it looks good, but easily my favorite is Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is the best from here. And if you're only picking up one figure, I can highly recommend Luke Skywalker being that one. I think Luke and Leia are the stars of this, with Dagan Gera being a surprise hit. But I can see if he's not your thing, if he's not your jam, I can see people passing on him just because he is from a specific game or from High Republic era, which some people might not like. But I think he's an interesting looking character, and I'm super happy to have him. He's going to look great on my gaming shelf for sure next to Cal Kestis. So that's it. Now, let me know what you think. Are you looking forward to any of these? Did you get them as well? Are you passing on them because of this view? Are you buying them because of this video? I like to read and respond to comments when I can. I also want to thank these people here for supporting me on my YouTube channel. It means a lot to me that these people have stuck by me during the droughts and during the plentiful times. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you guys. If you see your name on this list, thank you so much. If you want to see your name on this list, you could join my YouTube channel. It's that easy. Other than that, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for getting this far. And I will see you later. Bye.